What's going on, everybody? KingofDragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Bandai SH Monsterarts Godzilla vs. Kong Mechagodzilla. And so here we have the SH Monsterarts Mechagodzilla posing out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually run through his accessories. Mechagodzilla does come with two sets of hands. We do get a set of hands to have his fingers in a wide open configuration. And then we have a set of hands to have his fingers in a closed configuration. Other than that, Mechagodzilla here doesn't come with any other accessories. I would have loved to see a proton screen with this guy just because of how much he is, but unfortunately we didn't get one. So, with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get a closer look at Mechagodzilla. And so here we have a closer look at Mechagodzilla, and I think Bandai has done a phenomenal job with this figure. They did a very good job capturing the look of Mechagodzilla from the GBK movie. Now, unfortunately, he does have a little bit of an issue. In the movie, we had like the red lights showing through some of his panel lining, and that isn't seen here on this figure, unfortunately. It would have been nice to see a red wash throughout some of him, at least just to indicate that there was some lighting going on inside his body, but unfortunately, we don't get any of that. He's just cast in this very metallic silver color scheme. We do have some different shades of gray, silver right here, but it's not that noticeable. And then of course his spines or dorsal fins, whatever you want to call them, do have some red paint on them. But other than that, no distinct paint apps on this figure. We do get some hints of red, some hints of gunmetal here and there, but it's not a lot, to be quite honest. So having a look at his details here in the head, they did a very good job with his head sculpt. It looks just like it did in the movie. He has his piercing red eye right there, which I really do like, and they painted the eyes very cleanly, very nice. Something I do like is that they actually did detail the inside of his mouth. Now, I don't know if you guys were aware of the lore of Mechagodzilla in the movie, but these are actually grinders, so if you were to chomp down on something, his grinders here would actually start grinding it up, like those reels that we see on Instagram where they throw objects in and it gets shredded. Yeah, that was basically what would happen if something were to be in his mouth. It's a very gruesome detail, and I kind of wish we saw it in the movie. So yeah, really good detailing here on his neck. You can see they did a really good job just sculpting all the mechanical working of this character. Now, I know a lot of people weren't a fan of his design. Me, personally, I think this looks really good. It's very different from what we've seen in other incarnations of Mechagodzilla, so I do appreciate that they went out of the realm of what's normal and gave us this really unique take on him. You can see he has what appears to be silos right here. I don't know if these actually harbor any weapons, but on the original Mechagodzilla, he had like a crossbeam in his chest, so maybe these do harbor some weapons. I do like the fact that here on his shoulder pad, he does have a missile launcher. Now let's see if I can actually get this open up on camera. I just cut my fingernails, so it's going to be a little bit tricky for me. But yeah, on both of his shoulders, he does have rocket launchers that we did see him use in the movie, so I do like that little detail, and that just hinges closed as you need it, so really nice detail there. Going on to the rest of his arm, you can see just the amount of detailing on him. Very good detailing here, especially at the arm. You can see all this really nice mechanical work going on. We do have his hands here. Now, unfortunately, his fingers do pop off quite frequently, and the reason for that is the fingers are interchangeable. Let me just bring them out just so you guys can have a good look at them. The fingers are interchangeable because you can actually interchange the hands, and the hands have the fingers that we can have a regular monster's grip like that, or we can have a closed grip like this. And like I said, you can swap the fingers out, so if you want him to have like this kind of shape for his hand, you can do it. I think the clawing hands look really nice. So moving on to the rest of his torso here, we have more of those really good panel lining, and something that isn't seen in the movie but it is in the novelization is he actually has more rocket launches right here in his body. You can see these do rotate down and they do expose those rocket launches. Like I said, we didn't see these in the movie, but in the novelization it is acknowledged that he does have these, so it is canon and accurate to the overall look of Mechagodzilla here. And then we do have these pistons right here, which they are functioning pistons. They do move in and out with the articulation. It is unfortunate on mine, one of the pistons did break off. Now I do have it on the side and it's not something that can be repaired quite easily because of its location and how this functions. But yeah, it is a little bit unfortunate that I did unfortunately get one that was broken, but it doesn't affect the figure overall. If anything, it improves articulation. So continuing on with the rest of this figure, we have a look at his legs. So a lot of his parts, they do move around independently of themselves, so I do like that. We have some more of these canisters, silos, hoping that these are weapons just as a callback to the original Mechagodzilla. Very nice legs, although I do get the Transformers Megatron vibe out of these legs. Doesn't this look like Revenge of the Fallen Megatron with the wheels as his legs? I know, that's just my mindset on it, but it does look really nice. And then his toes, really good detailing here. It looks like the toes are articulated, but they're not. They're just sculpted in this one position. And his feet are die cast, so that's going to be where his base is. And I believe some of his torso is also die cast. I could be wrong. Then our final piece of Mechagodzilla is his tail here, and as you can see, it is really nicely segmented, and yeah, I do like the fact that it does hold its shape very well. That's a really good effect right here. It moves very nicely. I kind of wish that he did come with the drill claw tip for his tail. Unfortunately, we don't get that with Mechagodzilla here. Yeah, it was only seen for about 5 seconds, but it would have been nice to get a second tail tip just so we can have it in his drill form. But nonetheless, still a really impressive looking figure, and Bandai once again did an exceptional job with Mechagodzilla here. So with his details out of the way, guys, let's actually move on to comparisons. Here we have Mechagodzilla posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Mechagodzilla posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Mechagodzilla posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And for our final comparison, here we do have the SH Monsterarts Mechagodzilla posed next to the SH Monsterarts Kong and Godzilla. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually have a look at Mechagodzilla's articulation. Now, his jaw is articulated, so that does open up to about right there. Once again, I would have loved to see a proton screen that we could have attached to a Tamashii stand. That would have been really nice. So his head is on a ball joint. It actually might just, no, it's a ball joint. He does look down really nicely, and he can look up, can tilt the head side to side, but depending on how you have his head configured depends on how much tilt you actually have, and we do get rotation out of that. His neck is on a ball joint, so that does move down, up, side to side, and again it does rotate. And I believe it has two joints. We have this joint right here, and then we have a third joint at the base of his neck, so that works really good. His arms are on butterfly joints, so they do pivot in and out like this. Really good articulation for Mechagodzilla right there. Arms would do a full 360, but they are a little bit hindered by his shoulder pad here, and this doesn't pop off, so if you do try rotating his shoulder all the way around, there's a chance you can break this off, so I really wouldn't try it. So independent of that swivel, we do have a hinge that's right here in the joint. It's not at the swivel point, it's actually its own hinge, and that does go out really nicely. No bicep swivel right there, unfortunately. However, we do have a hinge here at the elbow, which does go to about 90 degrees, which is really good, and then that does swivel, although you don't want to have it at 90 degrees when swiveling, because then these plastics start butting up against each other, and then they could end up getting scratched or break. Then he does have a ball hinge here, or just a ball joint here at the wrist, so that does provide some really good movement. Does in and out, up and down, and all the way around, as well as spins. So unlike most SH Monster Godzilla figures, he has no articulation in the torso because his body right here is one continuous piece, but we do have these silos that do open up in case you want to have him firing rockets, but he doesn't have any rocket firing attachments, so that's a little bit unfortunate. So his legs would have full range of motion if it wasn't attached to these pistons. Now as far as the movement goes, he can go back about that far, which is a little bit lackluster. Can move forward about that much, and this is as much as I'm willing to push it before this starts failing. So yeah, it does get some good range. In and out is pretty decent, as you can see. We do have some rotation as well, but again, be very careful with these pistons because they do feel like they will break if you try to overstress it. So besides the thigh swivel, we do have a double bend at the knee, so his leg does start out straight, and then it does hinge really nicely. Now unfortunately, we don't get too much movement going back because of how it's designed, but I do appreciate the effort to make those actually look like real pistons, and that's his knee fully bent, so just keeping you guys in the know. So as far as his ankle goes, these do hinge to allow some movement, so you can see they hinge forward, which would allow his foot to move about that far forward, and then we can close it up. Moving back goes about that far, and again you want to close it up afterwards. No swivel at the foot, but we do have a hinge that does allow for a rocker ankle, although he really doesn't need it seeing as how limited his leg articulation is. I would have liked an extra swivel there as well. So moving on to his final pieces of articulation, we do have ball jointed tail, and every segment here on his tail is a ball joint, and they do hold up very well. I love just the amount of range we get, even though it is slightly hindered because that's about as far as we can go. It still gives you enough range to do whatever you want with it, and it just looks cool when you move it around. Now as soon as you get to the tip, this is a final joint right here, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could have added a part that could peg off and then attach the new claw, because these last 4 segments on his tail, a single piece, so I think that's a missed opportunity by Bandai, but it's still an impressive looking figure. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get Mechagodzilla posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the SH Monsterarts Mechagodzilla pose for my final thoughts, and overall I really do like the way this figure came out. He is big, he's mean looking, and he looks a lot like he did in the movie. Now I'm not going to say he's 100% accurate to the movie. Like I said, there are some aspects of this figure I wish that Bandai had done, especially at the price point of Mechagodzilla here. They could have added that red panel lining just to make it look like he was lighting up and had some life in him, just like in the movie when he was active, he was glowing red on the inside. They could have done that with this figure, and unfortunately we didn't get it, and I'm a little bit disappointed with that because this is a really nice figure. It just sucks that he doesn't get the paint apps that he deserves, and one thing that really bothers me is the fact that he is very expensive. If you are trying to track down a Mechagodzilla from GVK, he is going to run you about $160, which is insane. He is virtually paying the cost of both Godzilla and Kong together, and then a little bit more, because each one was about $70. Mechagodzilla here is $160, so he's $20 more than buying both of them at the same time, and it is a little bit bothersome when we get nice detailed figures like that, but they still skip out on the paint apps. Now I do like the fact that he comes with 2 different sets of hands, that you can configure his hands differently. I think adding a proton scream effect would have been a really nice addition to this figure, seeing as how we're already paying $160 for Mechagodzilla. Why not throw in an effect piece to go with him? I think that's only fair, but then again, I'm not the one in charge of budgeting, and that is what he was worth. Now, if I recall correctly, Mechagodzilla was a web exclusive in Japan, but thankfully Bluefin was able to get him here in America, so really happy about that. Otherwise, he'd be about $250, which is staggering, seeing as how these figures are really nice. It is getting kind of hard to justify paying the price for each one, but Mechagodzilla here looks great, and he does fit in with your GBK figure, so that's another thing I do like. So if you're a fan of Mechagodzilla, liked his overall design in GBK, you're gonna want to have this figure in your collection. So with the train passing by, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other SH figure arts and SH Monsterarts videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll gladly have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time guys, I'll see you later. Take care everyone.